Hello, my name is Simon Edgoose, and in this series of videos we're going to show you how you can get the best out of your DTX M12. What makes the DTX M12 different from everything else is the ability to stack or layer sounds, so I can have lots of different sounds on top of each other. And this is very useful for lots of different reasons. All the pads on the top and any pads I plug into the back of the DTX M12 can all have up to 4 different sounds on them, and we can treat them in different ways. So we're going to look at what we can do with this. Firstly, we're going to stack 2 sounds. So on the middle pad at the front, I have a snare sound. And we're going to layer a cymbal sound on top of it. Now this is a little bit more complex than building a kit, but once you've got used to it, it's very, very easy and very, very fast. Now, to start with this, we're going to press the MIDI button, and then we're going to immediately press the enter button. And hopefully you should see mode equals stack on the screen. And then we're going to go 1 page to the right. And because the last pad I hit was this pad here, pad number 8, it shows me the MIDI number, MIDI note number and name for that particular pad, which is D1 or MIDI note 38. But also, if you look at the screen in the top right-hand corner, you can see the letter A. And that shows you that you are playing the first layer. And the layers are named A, B, C, and D. So we're going to add on a layer B to this. So I press the cursor up, so the A starts to flash. Then using the plus and minus, I change that to B. And then I can see on the screen it says note equals off, which means there isn't a MIDI note assigned to the second layer. So I come back down again, and using the plus button, I go through until I find a MIDI note number which doesn't have brackets around it, which means it's too far out of range, and doesn't have an asterisk or a star next door to it, which means another pad is using that particular MIDI note. So for instance, on this, I've got layer B is C# -1 or MIDI note number 13. So we've assigned a second MIDI note to the pad. Now let's assign a voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the voice button now, and it shows me that there isn't a voice assigned to layer B at the moment. So I'm going to make this into a splash cymbal. So I go up to, I think, let's have a look, 16. And now I have layered a splash cymbal on top of the snare drum sound. When I'm happy with that, I press store, press enter twice, and we've saved the kit. That's how you stack 2 sounds together. So using what I've just shown you, you can now layer up to 4 sounds on every single pad, which is exactly what I've done here. So when I hit pad 8, I've got the snare drum sound, I've got the cymbal that we've just put on top, but I've also got a cowbell and a triangle. And when I hit the pad, it sounds like this. So that's all 4 sounds playing at the same time, which if you want a nice big stacked sound, that's great. But let me show you something else that you can do with this. So if I press the MIDI button and press enter and just scroll to the left until I see mode equals stack, that shows me that I'm stacking the sounds. All 4 sounds are playing together. But if I change that to alternate, something interesting happens. Every single time I hit the pad, it gives me the next sound. And this is very, very useful for playing melodic patterns or for playing loops or anything else, just using one pad, very, very simply. So using this technique, I can get the pads to do a lot more for me. So I could get one to play a simple drum loop, or maybe a 4-note bass line. But that's not all. We can also use the velocity, or how hard we hit the pad, to change the sound as well. So we do this by pressing the MIDI button and then press enter, and then use the left and right cursors until you see something called velocity limit. And what this allows you to do is to change how hard you have to hit the pad to make each sound appear. So for instance, on this, if I play lightly, I just get the snare drum sound. If I play a little bit harder, I get the splash cymbal. If I play very hard, I get the cowbell. If I play slightly softer than that, I get the triangle. So depending on how hard I play, I can get the sound to change as well, which is very, very useful. So that is called velocity switch. But we also have something called velocity stack. Using exactly the same page under MIDI, I can get the sounds to all fade in. So when I play lightly, I just get one. The harder I play, the more sounds fade in. And that can be really good for adding realism to your drum sounds.